Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn about the pulse and blood pressure. So let us understand what is a pulse. Pulse, in a simple example, take a wrist and try to place it over here and close your eyes for a while, and you can hear the beat. Alright? So pulse is the heart rate or the number of times your heart beats in 1 minute. So this means number of minutes the heart is number of minute your heart is beating. The pulse is low when you are at rest and increases when you exercise. Means when you exercise means more oxygen rich blood is needed, that is to be supplied into your circulatory system, but when you rest less oxygen is required. So in pulse, if its pulse is low when you are rest and increases when you exercise. So the pulse rate vary from person to person. A normal heart rate at rest for children, it'll be like 70 to 110 beats per minute. Adults age 18 and above, 60 to 100 beats per minute. All right, so once again, the pulse is the heart rate or the number of times your heart beats in 1 minute. Next, a very important topic that we are going to learn is blood pressure. All right, so let us understand what is blood pressure. We have already done the circulation of blood. Over there you must have come to know when there's pumping of blood, the blood goes into the different auricles with full force, all right, with pressure. So let us understand this. Without the pressure, the forces, okay, that forces our blood to flow around the circulatory system, no oxygen and nutrients would be delivered. So the pressure has to be maintained to deliver oxygen, nutrients through our arteries to the tissues and organ. Right, so why do we need blood pressure? It means so that the oxygen and nutrients are to be delivered in the system. For that reason the blood pressure is required. So blood has to flow into the arteries with full force. So the blood pressure is a pressure which the blood, all right, flowing through the arteries exerts on their walls. Pressure exerted by the arteries, all right, pressure exerted when the blood is flowing through the arteries. We have already done this diastolic phase also and systolic phase in cardiac cycle, but still I am doing it again. There are two limits, the upper limits and lower limits. The upper limits is known as the systolic pressure and the lower limit is known as diastolic pressure. So let us understand systolic pressure. It is the higher figure caused by the heart's contraction, or fresh blood is pushing through the artery as a result of ventricular contraction of the blood or the heart. Contraction of the heart. So when the fresh blood is pushing through the artery as a result of the ventricular contraction of the heart, that will lead to systolic pressure. So diastolic pressure is the low pressure in the arteries during the brief resting period between the heartbeat. All right, is the lower pressure. So normal blood pressure for adults should be 100 to 140, that is systolic upper one, and lower one will be 60 to 80 mm of, that should be diastolic. So normal blood pressure of human being should be 120 by 80. That's a normal blood pressure. So a rise in the blood pressure will lead you to hypertension, very important, if it goes beyond 120. So how do we maintain our blood pressure is, so let us, what is blood means when the salt content in the blood is more, How can we reduce the blood pressure? Sometimes it's blood pressure is hereditary also, but we can control our blood pressure by taking less intake of salt. If there's less intake of salt in our food, then we can maintain our blood pressure. All right. So instrument used to measure blood pressure will be sphygmomanometer. All right.